Let's turn to Chris Wallace now, the anchor of Fox News Sunday, live with us in D.C. Chris, he's in a room with all of his military leaders, and with a smile he says, you can take this meeting to be the calm before the storm. I mean, what are we supposed to think?
Well, look, we don't know is the answer. The president refuses to answer, and you saw that Sarah Huckabee Sanders, his chief spokesperson, refused to answer. My guess is the president's sitting there with the top brass of the most powerful military on earth ever, and he's saying it's the calm before the storm. And he's not saying we're about to strike North Korea, we're about to strike Iran. He's made it very clear he's not going to tip his hand on imminent military action. He's basically saying we have the most powerful military and don't mess with us. We can do whatever we want. Do I think that he's laying out a specific something that's going to happen in the next days, weeks, hours, months? No. I think he's just saying we have that capability. And there was a very good question asked in the briefing that this president, like Richard Nixon, subscribes to the so-called madman theory, and that is that one of the effective tools a president can use as the most powerful man on earth is to lay out the possibility to his adversaries he might do anything. And therefore, you ought to be very concerned, timid, in taking on the United States because this president might just do it. There was an interesting story that came out last week that his trade representative was about to go to South Korea to try to negotiate a new South Korean trade deal. And then the president said to him, we're going to only give this 30 days. And when the trade representative, Robert Lighthizer, said, well, all right, I'll tell him 30 days, he said, no. You tell them I might drop out at any point. I might pull the plug on this at any moment. The point being that South Korea should not be at all confident in that they have an idea what this president's going to do. My guess is that's basically what the president was saying here.
If you're in New Orleans or past Christiane or Gulfport right now and you say this is the calm before the storm, that means there's a tropical storm, a hurricane headed, and there's going to be hell coming. When you say it with your military leaders behind you, this meeting of my military leaders is the calm before the storm, you're suggesting that some sort of conflict is brewing, are you not? I don't know what else it could mean. Here are our military leaders all calm, the storm is coming. I don't know how else one would take it. It's not exactly a calming, comforting thing.
No, it isn't, but I don't think he particularly wants Iran or North Korea or the leaders of those regimes to be calm and comfortable. I think it's like when he said to North Korea, if they push us too far, we'll rain down fire and fury on them. He's not saying I'm about to do it. He's not saying next Tuesday at 3 p.m. we're going to take this particular tactic. He's just saying I have that capability and I'm prepared to use it if necessary.
There's a new poll out from Associated Press. 24% of Americans say the United States is heading in the right direction. 67% disapprove of the president's performance. Hey, normally when things like this happen, he'll try to take some action to change the polls. I wonder how concerned they are, if at all.
Well, look, he's been low in the polls for quite a period of time now. He basically has support of 34 to 40. Now, occasionally it ticks up into the 40%, but he's underwater in almost all of the polls. He's not running for re-election for more than 3 years, and I think he feels in reasonably strong shape. He certainly doesn't act like a fellow who doesn't know what he wants to do. And he's gotten high marks on some things. He got very high marks on the reaction to Irma and to Harvey in Texas and Florida. Not nearly as high marks on his reaction to Maria in Puerto Rico. This is a president who's going to bump along. There's no question about it. There are going to be times when people are very supportive and think he does the right thing. There are going to be times when he upsets people.
Also in the news today, this contraceptives change. How is that flying there politically and otherwise?
Well, look, it's kind of the usual suspects. If you're a strong supporter of birth control, you're outraged by this. The president is dramatically increasing the exceptions. Let's go back. Obamacare, as part of employers offering health care services to their employees, they have to offer as a free benefit birth control. Now we had the fight in the Supreme Court when Obama was president, the Hobby Lobby case, the Little Sisters of the Poor, very select groups that were exempted. Now the president, with this latest HHS regulation, is dramatically increasing the exceptions and is going to make it much easier for groups, nonprofits, for-profits, religious organizations, non-religious organizations, if they say they have either a religious or, as Kristen Fisher pointed out, a moral objection, they can say that they are not obligated to provide birth control to their employees. The ACLU is already filing suit on this. This will undoubtedly end up in the courts.
It is a bit confusing, as birth control prevents abortions from ever happening. And if you allow them to have birth control, family planning comes along more easily and without the controversy that comes along with abortions. It just seems to be working against itself in a way.
Well, yes, but, you know, that's the tenet of the Catholic Church, among other organizations, that they don't want to do anything to interfere with life, and they think abortion obviously interferes with life, and they think that birth control, artificial birth control, also interferes with life. So, I mean, there are plenty of religions that hold to those tenets, even though your point about the lack of birth control possibly leading to unwanted pregnancies is also true.
All right, Chris, what's happening this weekend?
Well, yeah, I feel like you put me through my paces today. Las Vegas is still an awfully big story and a terrible story, and we're still left a week later with the question why. And one of the people we're going to be talking to, you see there on the screen, Steve Wynn, one of the kings of Las Vegas, the head of two of the biggest hotels and casinos in that town. Interestingly enough, Wynn decided a year ago that Las Vegas was a soft target, and when you hear the kinds of things, we'll have an exclusive interview on Sunday, that he did to try to harden the Wynn Hotel and to harden the Encore Hotel in terms of bringing in former SEAL Team 6 members, former CIA officers, hidden detectors, hidden profilers in the casinos, just trying to protect his properties. But now there's a new threat, which we saw from Stephen Paddock, which is knocking out the windows and firing down from the 32nd floor. One of the things we'll talk to Steve Wynn about is how do you handle and try to prevent that. We'll also be talking to Eric Pratt, who is the executive director of Gun Owners of America. Interestingly enough, while the NRA is saying maybe we should regulate, restrict these bump stocks, Eric Pratt says no. So we'll be talking to him.
We'll be watching, Chris, this Sunday on Fox News Sunday. Thank you.
You bet.